Good morning. Thanks for taking some time to talk to me today. So, you're from the Cybersecurity Innovation Node. Can you tell me a little bit about it and also what your role is at the node?
For sure. Thanks so much for having me, Kylie. It's really a pleasure to be chatting with you today. I'm the manager of the New South Wales Cybersecurity Innovation Node, and we are a 50-50 partnership between Commonwealth Government and New South Wales Government. At the Commonwealth side, it's AusCyber, the major organization that spearheads our work, and they are the federal organization that's responsible for really growing cybersecurity capability across the nation. Here in New South Wales, we're trying to really leverage into and lean into what's happening, particularly in the cybersecurity sector in New South Wales. So our organization, our particular mandate is to really be working to build awareness of cybersecurity, grow cybersecurity resilience across the Australian economy in New South Wales, and more strategically be working very closely together with different industry partners like ADP, who are doing some great work in the cybersecurity sector and really be working to leverage the work that they're doing as much as they can and be spreading it across the entire Australian economy. So it's great today to be here and really shining a light on the work that ADP is doing in this space at such a pertinent time for our local economy as it comes to COVID.
Yeah, and I mean that's a really important point because ADP helps small and medium business size organisations to pay their employees accurately on time. And with COVID, as you mentioned, everyone's world's got turned upside down, and really keeping up with changes in legislation like JobKeeper. We've really noticed a rise in phishing schemes and cyber criminals trying to gain access to people's bank accounts, posing as legitimate authorities like Centrelink or MyGov. Are these sorts of things that you've also seen and observed?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's been a really exhausting period for everybody, particularly for that small business sector that you're talking about. And we try to do a lot of work within our organization to uplift this sector as much as we can. And I think what we are seeing is a huge uptick in the type of activities that you're talking about, particularly as it comes to phishing and spear phishing tactics. And unfortunately, it seems that cyber criminals are very aware that while everybody has moved to home and remote working conditions, that likely there's been some type of shift in their cybersecurity protocols internally or within their organization. And that unfortunately, given all of the transition that we're all under at the moment, that likely cybersecurity is probably not front of mind for them while they're ensconced in their homes at home. So that's really unfortunate. And the spear phishing particularly, which is a much more targeted type of phishing attack, we're seeing a rise in those. And there's a couple at the moment that are making the rounds. And if you'll just permit me, I'd love to sort of highlight a few of those because it just shows how sharp a lot of these cyber criminals are in this space. We're seeing one going around at the moment from Australia Post. And this one I think has been making the rounds for a number of years, but it seems to have resurged with COVID. And essentially, you or I or any small business owner might receive an email that looks fairly legitimate. It'll have Australia Post logos all over it, and typically some kind of commentary saying, your delivery, we tried to deliver this to you, but unfortunately we were unable to. If you click on the link, we can give you more information about your package. And typically when you click on that link to get that more detail, that's where you might be taken to a fraudulent website and asked to input data. So I think the big tell when you get these kinds of phishing scams is usually that email address for Australia Post. Once you examine that closer, it's typically invalid and doesn't actually represent what a usual Australia Post email website would be. Another one that we're seeing going around is from the AFP. I think this is circulated previously as well. And I think it's sort of highlighting that you might have been caught for speeding or negligent activities. So whoever has maybe been guilty of doing that or thinks they might have, again, it will take you, if you click on the links in the email, to a fake AFP website and then ask you to download a zip file full of malware. So these are sort of two pertinent examples. And I think the other big ones that are making the rounds are ones particularly related to COVID-19. So there's one with Department of Health that looks incredibly official and sort of saying that you've come into contact with people that have had COVID and again, asking for personal details from you. So yeah, there's a lot of activity in this space. And I think it just requires everybody to be hyper vigilant at the moment and aware of kind of what's happening.
Yeah, and really, I mean, these things are occurring at a time where, frankly, small business is really just struggling to keep their heads above water. I mean, business models needing to change, going from maybe, dining in to takeaways, having to rethink about how your distribution works, maybe going online when previously you had, a retail front. The world's changing so rapidly. I mean, the last thing that you're thinking about is really what's happening from a technology perspective, and that some of these things could actually occur. And I mean, if I think about sort of the systems and tools ADP brings to the table, for sure it might feel like, it takes an extra step to put a password in, or it may feel a little cumbersome to actually use a tool instead of maybe just using an email. But some of those processes are therefore trying to help organizations at the end to avoid, as what you've just described now, as these types of attacks, specifically on small business. I mean,
100%.
can you think of other ways? I mean, obviously ADP does everything that we can in terms of the tools that by design are secure, but are there other things that our clients in the small business area could be doing to protect themselves against these types of attacks?
For sure. I mean, there's loads of ways, but I think the important thing for people to keep front in mind is it's baby steps. And we'll try to keep it simple when we give people advice in this space, because otherwise, like you've highlighted, it can just seem like too much and too complicated. And cybersecurity can sometimes be a difficult place to navigate. So, really, really quickly, there are a couple of things I'd love to highlight. I mean, the simplest thing, particularly in relation to phishing schemes, don't click on suspicious looking emails or links, any kind of website that might be slightly untrustworthy. Just take that extra split second when you get an email. I know we're all really incredibly under the gun at the moment, and everybody's probably feeling a little bit frazzled and distracted. But when you get those emails that maybe look slightly a bit off, just take that split second and say, what is this, before you click on those links. So just take some time kind of when you're going through your email. That's probably the simplest one. The other one is because a lot of people have moved to maybe working from their home laptop. They're no longer working on corporate assets or a small business asset. So really keep those systems and software up to date. Do those updates every single time you're getting a request from your system. That is, sort of your best and simplest indemnification against having any kind of thing happen. Although it is not fail safe, it's just a baseline. And then I think the third thing I would really recommend is for any small business owner, if it's you running your IT or if you've got someone within your organization in managing IT, don't be embarrassed if you think that you have maybe fallen prey to a phishing scam or gone to a website that's exposed your system. Tell your IT about it. And if it's
Yeah.
yourself, then get on it right away. Don't be embarrassed about it. I know sometimes there's a lot of concern around, oh, I did this, now what? 100% don't. Everybody, it happens, and it's an unfortunate part of reality. So just, tell whoever needs to deal with it and start to rectify it as soon as possible. And I think from our organization's perspective, we work closely with the Australian government around different tactics and tips that they recommend for small business owners as to how they can protect themselves all the time, not just during COVID. But one of those resources that I would really recommend, it's called the Australian Government's Essential Eight. And it contains 8 tips, just like the headline says, 8 tips for basically safeguarding your business and yourself personally as it comes to cybersecurity practice. And some of the things that I've just listed are listed in that document. But there's
That's great.
also things like using multi-factor authentication, some really simple ways that you can start to really protect your assets.
Excellent. And I would also say working with organisations like ADP in terms of ensuring that the tools and systems and practices that you're working with are reputable and have that security built in there by design. And maybe what we can do is actually that the reference, easy reference guide you just mentioned, we'll make that available also in Twitter with this article so people can use that moving forward.
That'd be brilliant, Kylie. And yeah, I'd like to tag back to that about what you're saying about ADP. Secure by design is a concept that we basically live by in the cybersecurity sector. And it's my organization's job to be working with organizations like yourself that are doing secure by design work and putting forth products and services that have that built into them. So, I'm always working with people and trying to educate organizations to companies that are doing fantastic work in this space. So it's great to see what ADP is doing. And the more that we can sort of shine a spotlight on to secure opportunities that are existing in the ecosystem, it's terrific. So thanks again.
So, Dr. Stephenie, I can't thank you enough today for helping share information that you have at the node with our small business clients. Looking forward to continuing to working together on how we can make this a lot of a safer business environment for our clients. Have a great day.
100%.
Thanks so
Thanks so
much.
much, Kylie. Cheers.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.